Hi guys, tonight I will be showing how to create this Facebook cover in Canva. Now, there's this new rollout that's kind of been off and on in Facebook where you can do video covers. So tonight's tutorial is going to actually include how to make one cover and then adjust it. That way you can make multiple versions of your cover and then put them up as a slideshow. It's just another idea for the video. Instead of having like an actual video, as you can do slideshows. So let's get into it. Come over to Facebook cover. Oh, I'm also going to show you a cool trick for how I got this background to be over here in both of them. It's just a cool way when you've got a photo that's not quite like when it's a really portrait orientated photo and you've got this little bit of texture or pattern going on in the background, you can pull it over here and use the negative space really effectively. So if we come over here, and you'll see what I mean by photos. So the photo here, obviously, because when I was first trying to do this design, I was like, how can I make this? Can I make this work and get that gorgeous little face in? But it just really doesn't. So if you come over here, I popped it here. Yep, that's about right. And I actually used a filter on this just to bring those tones out just a little more. So I went right to the very, very end and chose whimsical. Now, when you're using these filters, there's this really cool intensity slider. So take it up and it like completely blows out the photo. But if you bring it down, in this case, to about there, a little bit more. There. It just really does something quite lovely to the tones. I'll just see if I can do it before and after. So that was before. And that was after. See, it's only set to 8, but it makes a really big difference. So now to the cool trick that I figured out. Copy your photo up here. Now zoom right out, because you're going to need to go right out for it. And make it really, really big. Okay, maybe not quite that far out, but make it really, really big. And I'm getting that to really take up as much space as I can. So this is great. Now we have this texture all the way over here, but we've still got this extra, just zoom in a bit, this extra bit of photo. So if we come over, click on the photo, click crop, and give yourself extra room just in case you need it. But then come in here and I cropped in sort of as close as I could to get as much of that top section there cropped out without it getting just a bit too far. And there we go. Now you might be thinking, well, that's like a really obvious line, but it won't be once we do the next step, which is coming over here and clicking on shapes and choosing, scroll down just a little. This is one of my favorite ones. It's a really versatile shape to use. Just a little too far there. Now this isn't going to be like perfectly on center, just because of the nature of, you want to get the baby's whole face in. So you're not going to get it sort of perfectly centered. About there is good. Just a little bit more. There we go. Okay. And there's still a bit of a line here. So I might need to just drag the crop sideways a bit so that her shoulder, so there's just a little bit more in there. Now, what you're trying to do is get the join line to be as not obvious as possible. Now, if I was in Photoshop, I could just zip some tools over this and you wouldn't even notice that it was there. But even so, with it being an actual line here, and if you zoom in, it's quite a noticeable line. But most people aren't looking that closely at your Facebook covers. They're just going to be sort of glancing them as they go onto your page and go to do something else. So it works. I bet when you've seen the preview, if you've seen the post that I did as a preview for this, you hadn't noticed quite so obviously that there was a line down there. So it's a handy little trick because you get all the benefits of the texture over here and you don't need to know how to use Photoshop to do it. Just moving it along, seeing if I can get it a little bit smaller, because the idea is to get as much of the texture in as it can without it being, oh, no, there, I like that better. just play around. The idea is to like get the texture, but to sort of make the join as invisible as possible. And there's like a natural darkening of the blanket she's on compared to the outside, which is quite light. So if you can follow the tones and follow the colors so they lead in nicely, it's going to be really way less obvious what you've done. Okay, now we come over to logo. And I'm just going to crop this one. There. I do actually have a PNG of this, but I forgot to upload it. I've uploaded the JPEG version, so we'll just do the crop for this. Not too important for this one. Some of them you really need them to be clear-cut PNG, some of the tutorials I've done, but this one we can kind of skate by with it like this. Okay, so Thingamajigs, thank you, by the way, very much for lending your brand for this tutorial. She has a monochrome, so a black and white logo, which means you can kind of go two ways. You can either always use the colors of the images that you're working with, which I'm going to do in this tutorial, but you can also pick colors that go with your brand, colors that you want to represent your brand. So come over here, and I do have a color ready to go for this one on Notepad. Took me a little bit of like sort of just playing around to find the right tone of brown for it. So I ended up finding this one. There are image color pickers you can use like that. It's very complementary to the tones in there. I can put a link to the image color pickers that I usually use down in the comments after this video. But just for now, this one I just found by kind of eyeballing it. I went through the color wheel in different shades and was like, oh yeah, that one, it's readable and it looks nice. And the font this time is all the way down here. There we go. Satisfy. It's one that I can read this week, that I can pronounce. So I put up here, handcrafted. And I'll just make it a little bit smaller. It's really important with your designs that you give everything a little bit of breathing room, because it just makes it easier to see and read, and just sits nicely. And the next one I very rarely use straight black. I kind of like to take the edge off it a little bit when I'm doing stuff. So I just take it down a little. The second font used here is, where is it? Now I don't know if I'm 100% getting this one right, but Oleo Script. Sorry, that was the next one. And the text here is cushions, bibs, headbands, and more. Just make it a bit smaller so it fits in. And one of the other things you can do up here in spacing, because you'll see that it's going to be really difficult for me to get all of this in and sitting nicely because the space between is really quite big. So if you come over here to line height, you can bring that in and just tuck them in a bit more, like that. Just bring that down a little more. There we go. Yeah, that spacing, you don't want to go too close together because then this happens. In certain fonts, you'll have like, yeah, see, the closer you get, the harder it is to read. So you've got to give it as much room as you can, like without giving it so much that it clashes or crashes into other things. But there we go. And I don't know if you noticed there, but when it was like this, and I knew I was going to be pushing enter to bring the elements down, I went backspace first, so there's no spaces between the comma and headbands, and then pushed enter. Oops, cool. Now, the reason I make sure there's no spaces between the words is because it's always going to be slightly off center if you've got a space here. So if I push space bar now, it's really subtle and it's just me being pedantic, but those little things that you do, see there? Now it's all squared and centered up. Those little things make a big difference. Okay, so that is how we get our Facebook covers looking really cool using a neat little background trick and choosing colors that align with the image. Now another cool trick, if now you want to put it all together in your Facebook cover, as like a slideshow, you can click copy this page. Actually, you can use this even if you just want to rotate covers through your page. Sorry if I've just repeated that part that my video recorder cut out for a moment. So this is handy if you want to do a slideshow video style Facebook cover. And it's also handy if you just want to have multiple, different images coming through for the same thing. So I copied over here. I click this copy page. So I've got an exact replica of it. Now all I need to do is delete the photos and pop in a different one. Same thing, make it nice and big. Now it's going to be in the front, so you're going to have to click arrange, back, a couple of times. And for this one, the filter that I used was Festive, I'm pretty sure. Yep. And again, that's a little bit too intense. It's made her skin quite yellow, so I'm just dialing it back a bit. That. Now, copy the picture, send it backwards all the way to the back. That'll work. No. Okay, hold on just a tick. And, now it's going back. Okay, now with this one, all of the pattern that I wanted to match up, because here you've got this part here is going to have to come into the pattern over here. So one cool way of doing that is clicking flip horizontally, and now you've got two parts here that actually line up together. So we'll zoom out. Over here. Quite far out. And then you just kind of move it around until, oh, look right there. We've got, look at that, that's even better in the one that I already had saved. The pink goes in perfectly well, and you can't even really see anymore that it's sort of those two photos like that. Just bring that down some more. Back up to that pink. With this one, it still looks a little bit dark, so I would probably come over to the filter and just bring the brightness up just a smidge. It's currently at 4, so yeah, just to brighten it up just a little bit. And now with this, you can put them together to make a video, or you've got, options. So she can use other photos like this, or you could use other photos like this for your one. And you can either just drag them across because they might work like that, like this photo did, or you can use the flip feature so that you've got two pieces that line up quite fairly flawlessly. You have to get in there really close to see that. Okay, so that's it for tonight's tutorial. If you'd like me to design a Facebook cover for you or do a video slideshow for you, please get in touch. Otherwise, next week I will see you for Green Elephant, I think is the next one next week. So keep an eye out for Wednesday for that teaser post. Good night, guys.